eventually the cycle, or what appears to be a cycle, should break to the upside. And I guess this is what Omega is about. It's just a breaking of the cycle. And I think an Omega candle would definitely break some of the models out there, like maybe stock to flow, and definitely, what's the other one?
Power law.
Power. There are people who are being recommended to trade against the power law, like when you get up here, sell everything, and then you buy back cheaper.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite dangerous, because
I agree.
you could never buy back again cheaper, right? There is no guarantee.
Samson Mow begins by discussing the phenomenon of God candles in Bitcoin trading, massive price swings within a single day that signal extreme volatility. He introduces the concept of an Omega candle, a hypothetical $100,000 move in a single day, as a natural evolution in Bitcoin's trajectory. While acknowledging the potential for both green, positive, and red, negative Omega candles, Mow emphasizes that Bitcoin's overall trend points toward increasing price turbulence. He attributes this volatility to Bitcoin's growing demand-supply imbalance. With institutional players like ETF and entities such as MicroStrategy aggressively accumulating Bitcoin, the market is poised for a significant supply shock. Despite concerns about potential sell-offs by early adopters, Mow dismisses these fears as largely unfounded.
Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space, and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks, and enjoy the video.
You kind of hit one of them, which is God candles, $10,000 candles on the daily chart in one day. And the next step, I think, is the Omega candle, which is a $100,000 candle on the daily. Hopefully green. Yeah, like we had a red Godzilla candle recently, right? It went down like 13,000. So it can go both ways. But the trend, I believe, is that we're going to see Bitcoin become much more turbulent in bigger swings up and down as we go towards $1 million per coin and beyond that, because this is sort of price discovery. And I happen to lean towards the side of green candles, because the way I look at the demand and supply imbalance is just so skewed that it makes me fearful that it's just going to come all at once, and we're going to see this Omega candle just rise up nonstop for a whole day as people pile on into Bitcoin. Because you can see, like, even though we're up here, we're not really moving that quickly yet. And the demand from ETFs and from MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor, it just seems ridiculously skewed. Like there is 20x, sometimes more demand just from ETFs in a given day. And that does not seem sustainable to me. And there are some theories that OGs are selling, but I really don't think that that's necessarily the case. It could just be people moving and migrating coins to new wallets, or to multi-sig, or improving security. So I just think there is a supply shock coming, and nobody sees it coming. And one day, there just won't be enough Bitcoin, and that will just trigger this recursive demand shock, coupled with this supply shock that just shoots us straight up vertically. There will be fluctuations, there will be volatility, but it seems like the concept of cycles is not something that is in line with Bitcoin. We've had 3 cycles, I guess, that look similar. But the first cycle, like the first 4-year period of Bitcoin, the first epoch, I think you can't really count that. That's just early price discovery and formation of the Bitcoin price, right? It's very, very immature and very fragmented market. So you can say, like, there's been 3 coin tosses and they kind of look similar. But why would Bitcoin continue on mirroring 4-year periods ahead of it when adoption is exponential? I just don't see why that would be the case. So eventually the cycle, or what appears to be a cycle, should break to the upside. And I guess this is what Omega is about. It's just a breaking of the cycle. And I think an Omega candle would definitely break some of the models out there, like maybe stock to flow, and definitely, what's the other one?
Power.
Like people were thinking people were being recommended to trade against the power law, like when you get up here, sell everything, and then you buy back cheaper.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite dangerous, because
I agree.
you could never buy back again cheaper, right? There is no guarantee. And I think you just have to look at the writing on the wall, which is adoption seemingly is growing exponentially. Like the US, a world superpower, is mulling over creation of strategic Bitcoin reserves and significantly adopting Bitcoin in a major way. And I believe that's going to trigger a lot of follow-on behavior from other countries too. Like there is discourse now in Russia to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and other countries too. So it's really just a matter of time. And when the US does something, everyone's just going to pile on.
Mow notes significant resistance from traditional institutions and central banks. He recounts a conversation with a central bank where officials appeared dismissive of Bitcoin's growing influence. This resistance, he explains, stems from the comfort and control offered by the existing fiat system. However, Mow believes this resistance is unsustainable. He highlights the role of institutions like BlackRock, whose Bitcoin ETF has become one of the most successful financial products of its kind. Such developments signal a broader shift in market sentiment, even if traditional players remain reluctant to acknowledge it.
I think they will do it because they don't have a choice. With the debt, the U.S. national debt the way it is now at $36.2 trillion, I don't see them paying that off. It's just too big, and the interest rate to service that debt is just growing exponentially. And the question is, will spending stop, and can they taper it? And I just don't think they can stop spending. There's talk of a Department of Government Efficiency to kind of cut costs, but it's to be seen if that will work or not, because you're going to cut some costs there. You'll cut some jobs, government jobs probably, but that is going to make a lot of people unhappy. And what that leads to is that they vote in the other guys next term, right? So there's a delicate balance here. And this is why I'm really bearish on the world being able to survive in a fiat standard. And they absolutely need to go to a Bitcoin standard, because any attempt to fix the current problems through cost cutting or austerity or anything is going to push people to the other side, because everyone wants free stuff. So the window of opportunity to actually fix something is very narrow, kind of like we're talking about before we started the podcast. When we at Jan3 try to engage with the government, we have like a 2-year window for any given administration to do something. The first year, they are not well prepared. They're still, building out everything and preparing and getting into place. Then you have the last 2 years, and then you have the next few years, and then you have the last year, where either they're on their way out and they don't want to do anything, or they are preparing for re-election and they don't want to take any risks. So even within a 4-year term of any government, there is only really half of it that is viable to push something forward. And it's the same thing like when you're trying to fix the country. Like you have a very narrow window, because you're going to have to deal with the next election soon after. So I guess to answer your question, I believe they have to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve, because the dollar is diminishing, and really the only net buyer of treasuries is Tether, right? Stablecoin issuing. China is tapering, and the BRICS countries are probably going to taper and step away from the dollar as well. So then if there's no demand, what are you going to do? You have to do something, because the US is just like is broke, basically. They're massively in debt, and there's no one willing to buy the debt. So yeah, I think strategic Bitcoin reserve is definitely on the cards, and even possibly more. Like Bitcoin as legal tender, Bitcoin used as money. Yes and no. I would say theoretically it should be easier. But functionally, no. Like there is still resistance to this idea. We had a call with a few people from a central bank last night, and we kind of explained what we think is going on and what will happen. And the response was kind of like, yeah, we think we're fine, and we don't think the status quo is going anywhere. And I did point out in my spiel, my pitch, that the U.S. is looking to adopt Bitcoin as a strategic reserve and possibly do more things with it. And yeah, they kind of it didn't seem to register, and they kind of acknowledge it. And I even asked, do you know, like the largest financial company on the planet, BlackRock, is running this ETF, and Bitcoin is the most successful ETF they've ever launched, and they have a massive holding of Bitcoin for their clientele. And they're like, yeah, we know, but it didn't seem to really register. It's like, I know the sky is blue, but what do you want me to do? Like, I don't want to speculate, but that's definitely a possibility. Why give up the power that you have, right? Nobody that has power like that should, in theory, want to give it up, right? Unless they see the end in sight. And I believe it's difficult to do that, to see the end is in sight, because they're living in a very comfy world where they can control the money supply. I don't think they understand that there is a change that's about to happen, and it's coming very soon.
Mow emphasizes the narrow window of opportunity for governments to adopt Bitcoin strategically. Political cycles, bureaucratic inertia, and resistance to change create significant challenges. However, he remains optimistic that the mounting pressures of debt and economic instability will eventually force governments to act. For Mow, the transition to a Bitcoin standard is not just a financial necessity, but a geopolitical imperative. Countries that fail to adapt risk falling behind in a rapidly changing global landscape.
Please like and subscribe my channel.